And we're live. I'm your host, the Valley Savage. This is Tell the Truth Boxing Pod, joined alongside Ease. You might have seen him before, but this ain't that wave today. We talking boxing. This is just boxing. No drama, no fist fights, no drinks thrown, nothing, man. It's all peaceful here, man. It's peaceful violence over here. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
But thank you for coming through, champ.
Yeah, no problem, bro.
Appreciate it.
Right. Yeah.
Still the team. In case anybody's wondering, still the team, but the team is tied up right now. Rick has just moved to Wisconsin, and Leaf is at work. So the show must go on. Thankfully, Ease is here. Ease knows his boxing. He loves boxing just like all of us. If you're watching us here on Instagram, you can find us on YouTube. We are at Tell the Truth Boxing Pod. Go and like, share, and subscribe. Also on Spotify and Apple iTunes. Remember to hit the like button if you're already here on YouTube. We're talking the last Crescendo, the fight card brought to us by Turkey Al Sheikh. Man, I've been watching boxing a long time, and I can't. I don't remember a card being this stacked and this entertaining. Usually you get a few duds. Usually you get a few you know, fights that, put you to sleep. And you kind of thought it would be like that with so many fights on the same card, but they delivered. From the opening fight all the way up until the last, the final, the main event was amazing. But we'll get into the card, man. The card started off with Joshua Buatsi and Callum Smith. And Joshua Buatsi had a lot of hype coming in. I guess supposedly as Boogeyman can get at 175 if you're going outside of Better Beef and Bivol. Obviously, David Benavidez is up there as well. But Joshua Buatsi is the new shiny toy. And Callum Smith, you know, he was kind of on the downfall. We all remember him getting his head taken off by Canelo. Same thing happened against Better Beef. So we didn't really know what to expect. What made it such a highly anticipated fight because you have the up and coming young lion against the savvy veteran, and it turned out that the savvy veteran got the best of him. Shout out to Joshua Buatsi because he showed that he had heart, he had dog, he really took a lot of clean shots. He was able to give some back, but he just could not get out of the way of that left hook. I mean, that left hook was finding a home all fight long. And again, shout out to Boatsi because he has a chin. I think he still has a future. We're in an era of boxing where if you take a loss, it's not the end of the world, especially with guys like Turkey Al Sheikh that are willing to give you a second chance. Gave Zhang a second chance. I'm sure he'll give Jared Anderson another chance. He gave Wilder another chance. So you can take a L and then come back and compete. So what did you think of the fight, champ?
So with Callum Smith and Watsy, that's how you say it.
Yeah, Boatsi.
Watsy. Yeah, no, it
Boatsi.
was it was entertaining fight. Watsy put up a good fight. Actually, he was able to land some shots, but Callum Smith just he was every punch was finding its home for the majority of the part. Especially I think it was probably the middle of the rounds where he caught him at the left hook to the body, left hook to the top, and then
Mm-hmm.
the jab. So you
Mm-hmm.
can tell Callum Smith learned a lot from the loss of Canelo because, like you said, we didn't know what to expect from him because that loss from
Mm-hmm.
Canelo was like, man, he wasn't like, it's like, who is this guy? He wasn't really doing too well. But this Callum Smith, if he would have fought, Canelo now, he would have gave Canelo a better fight with the way he looked on that night.
Yeah, he definitely looked good, and I can see why you say that. But Joshua Boatsi still wet behind the ears.
Yeah,
He's not Canelo. I think if he goes up against Canelo, uh, the same thing is gonna happen.
oh for sure, for
Maybe a
sure,
little different because it'll be at 175, but I think the same thing will happen. But
right.
yeah, but that it's funny that you brought that up because I remember that he caught him with a left uppercut, a
Well, that's
left
what it
hook.
was.
Yeah, a left uppercut, left hook, and then followed up with a left jab. All three punches was the left hand, all different varieties. He switched levels. He changed the pace. I mean, he was giving the young bull all he can handle. Um,
Right,
a lot of those shots, I mean, he hurt Buatsi a lot. Callum Smith is known he has power, and he
yeah,
went in there a live dog. You know, when I seen that he was an underdog against Buatsi, I was like, you know, that one's tough. If I'm putting money on it, that's a fight that I'm gonna skip. You know, especially if I got all these fights on the card, because you don't know enough about Buatsi, and we know a lot about Callum. You know, a lot of it recently not that good, but you know, this Callum really went in there. I mean, from what I seen, looked like he was fighting for his career,
right,
and he showed up. You know, but again, Buatsi, I think he has a bright future. There's not a lot of challengers there at 175. It's really only about like 5 or 6 deep. You got Better Beef, you got Bivol, of course, you got Benavidez, you have Morel, you have Callum now, and I my man, the English cat, shit, man,
um,
light skinned cat that Better Beef stop. Anthony Yard,
yes, yes,
yeah, and you have Boazzi now.
yeah,
So you know, shout out to him, man. And that fight, that was a dope fight. Some back and forth at spurts, but you know, I think Callum Smith, rightfully so, got the win. He might have fought himself into a fight with Benavidez, which
yeah.
is
Just to play devil's advocate a little bit, Boachi, obviously he's not no Canelo, but he does have some power behind him. You know what I mean? Like if you're not on your toes, there's a great chance you're gonna go down. I mean, he does have, what, 16 knockouts, or how many knockouts? He does have a good amount of knockouts. I'm sorry if I'm correct me if
he
I'm wrong.
has he has he has a decent amount of, I don't know exactly how many, but he does have a decent amount of
Right.
knockouts.
So I mean, I'm not saying because I guess the fear was, Callum is not known for his power, but he can box.
Mm,
So when you have a power puncher going against a boxer, it could go either way. You know what I mean? Because boxers, can they take a punch? That's the biggest question.
mm,
You know what I mean? So like if they got a chin, then they could win the fight. But if they don't, then it's only a matter of time till they go down. But I agree with you. Boachi definitely does have a bright future. You just got to go back to the drawing board, and I think he'll definitely be a challenge to boxers. Coming up in that weight class. I think he'll even be a challenge for Anthony Yard. You know what I mean?
mm,
So he's definitely
yeah.
he's definitely not an electrician.
Yeah, yeah. We gonna get into that for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But the next fight on the card, also great fight, was Zhang versus Kabayel. And Zhang, obviously, we know who Zhang is. Zhang been in a couple bangers. Knocked off. Dang man, who face did he break? Whose face did he? Oh man,
Let me.
damn. But you guys know what I'm talking about. But he broke my man's face, knocked him out again the second time around. I'm gonna remember his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm not gonna look it up. I have too much pride.
Joseph Parker.
No, 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 not Joseph. He lost to Joseph Parker.
Okay.
Before that,
We'll have to come back to that. Come back to that. Come back.
yeah, we'll come back to it. But we know about, and we obviously know what he did to Wilder. He punched him silly.
Oh my goodness.
So Zhang, he had some buzz, and I think going into the fight, he was the odds favorite. We don't know a lot about Caballero. Well, we know now. Um, it w- it's funny because when the fight started, he almost looked like he was scared. He looked like fighters getting in the ring with Prime Tyson.
Right.
He did look intimidated. He looked like, I'm like, yo, Zhang is about to get this guy up out of here. But shout out to him and the team. They came in there with a plan, and they just tore his body up. I mean, you could even see the red from all the punches. He also switched levels. He used his jab amazingly. He used his feet, used used the whole ring. Um, Zhang was on the pursuit. He was the one that was forcing the issue, the one that was on the front foot for the at least the early portion of the fight.
Mhm.
He's smartly moved his feet, used the jab, switched levels, and went to the body to slow him down. And eventually, he crippled. he folded in half, and that's the fight last night. I just remembered where the ref actually like moved Kabayel back after he landed a body shot, and then Zhang actually bent over and he moved Kabayel back as if Zhang was down. And I thought that was weird because he didn't do an 8 count, he didn't do anything, but and then he just had the fighters come back together. But that was weird, man. That was
Yeah,
that didn't make any sense. But fortunately, Caballero still got the win, and I'm looking forward to see what he has. People are saying that maybe he should go up against Parker, but I don't think I believe Parker deserves a title shot because, of course, we know that Parker was supposed to be fighting Dubois, but Dubois ended up getting sick, and um, you know how that went. But
yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, the Zhang fight it was definitely a good one because he got the knockdown in the fifth round, and like you said, Zhang was coming out swinging. But Caballero, you could tell he had a game plan because he just kept going to the body, just
hmm
kept going to the body because he must have did his homework. You know what I mean? Because Zhang is usually the aggressor, and so people are usually on the back foot trying to like do on the defensive mode. But Caballero was like a lot of guys don't go to his body often. He doesn't really block his body too well, so he saw an opening. He just went for it. It takes a lot of heart because Zhang has power. You know what I'm saying? So he showed a lot
yeah,
of heart going against Zhang.
yeah. The thing is like I wouldn't say a star is really born because I mean uh, I mean it's not like it was Zhang, but it wasn't one of the big time heavyweights. It's not, Fury, it's not Usyk, it's not Jared Anderson, it's not Wilder,
Right,
but Zhang is still a very, very impressive win.
right.
And I think he deserves at least a shot at an interim title, and in a couple fights, maybe early next year, he deserves a shot at maybe a title shot. Seeing how let's see how the Usyk fight turns out. We'll see how that ends up, but I think maybe Dubois. If Dubois ends up getting that undisputed, because Dubois has the last belt because he was stripped by the IBF. So that last fight with Fury was not a undisputed fight, even though the first one was. So if they end up lining Dubois up with Usyk, I think that's foul. That's not right. You're doing Joseph Parker dirty.
Yeah,
I think Joseph Parker has done a lot. His resume, man, Joseph Parker's resume is fire. You guys, like, you gotta go and look at it. He has Wilder on there. He has Zhang on there. He was about to catch Dubois' body, and that fight would have been an amazing fight with Usyk. So hopefully they end up in getting Dubois in there with Joseph Parker again. But we'll touch on that a little bit later.
yeah.
But yeah, so we'll move on to the next fight, which was Shakur Stevenson and the Electrician. Um, Josh Padley, who what was it, 5 days notice, a 32-year-old electrician who really actually was an electrician. This is not something that you say is a cab driver or the bartender or the Uber driver or whatever. No, this guy actually was an electrician or is an electrician, and he went in there short notice with what a lot of people like to claim Shakur as in a boxing phenom, and he ended up going, what was it, 9 rounds?
Yeah, this about 9 rounds. Yeah.
And so he ends up going uh point blank period. He was in there a lot longer than what people expected. Even though
Yeah,
Shakur is not known for being a power puncher, he
exactly.
still lasted a lot longer than a lot of people would have expected. I have mixed feelings on it. Well, let me get your thoughts on a fight before I go into it.
So Shakur did very well. He was very, very accurate with a
Mm,
lot of his punches,
mm,
and that's what we expect. He's a sharpshooter, but Um, Padley has heart. Like that is a
Mm.
strong dude, man. Like he has a lot of heart. You know what I mean? Like he has to have he has to have had some kind of boxing experience prior because no, he's not your ordinary electrician. You know what I mean?
Well, he was ranked number 12. I forget what sanctioning body. It's not like this was his first fight. You
Right.
know what I mean? So he's definitely, and the thing about it is, I'm gonna let you finish real quick, but let me just throw this in there. Um, guys, a lot of these guys, like I know, people make fun, oh, yo, you fought the Uber driver, oh, you doing this, there's only what a half a percent, maybe 1% of fighters that don't need a 9 to 5. Most of those guys need a 9 to 5 because everybody thinks you're making $1 million when you're getting in that ring. No, you're not. You need a lot of help. You need a lot of people to buy tickets. It's hard to get people to follow you. It's already hard enough to get in that ring as to begin with. So the whole thing about the electricians and the cab drivers and the bartenders, a lot of these guys, that's what they do, because they got to make ends meet. They got families. So yeah, but go ahead and finish, champ.
Right. And exactly. And these up and coming fighters, they're not fighting every other week or you know every day. They're fighting once every couple months because they have to prep. But yes, but Pally, he showed a lot of heart. You can tell he wasn't a slouch. And like you said, he's ranked number 12. He actually he did pretty well and to be able to last that long because Shakur, she's silver medal. You know what I mean? And Shakur also not a heavy, big puncher, but a guy can't come off the street, come in the ring, and be able to take those kind of punches like Paddy did. So, but to play devil's advocate, Shakur's hand did kind of, it's kind of questionable because he did injure his hand. So I'm
Mhm.
gonna, give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he was just being careful, not trying to injure his hand because he did have that injury. But if we look at all Shakur's fights, they all end like that. So are we really surprised that he didn't stop him? You know what I mean? I guess we us people finding out that he was an electrician, they expected him to stop him, but not realizing he's ranked number 12. But also, Shakur doesn't really stop guys like that, especially in early rounds. It usually goes, the distance half the time. So I never expect a knockout from Shakur. Me personally, I expect him to land a lot of punches, do well. I don't expect a knockout. If the knockout comes, then it comes. But I
Mhm.
guess everybody was just surprised how well Padley did against him in the sense of he stood in there, he lasted longer than we expected because he's a quote
Mhm.
unquote electrician. So that's my take on that.
Yeah. See, the way I look at it is
Yeah,
I go through the top 135 pounders and I'm like, what would they do? Right. So I'm looking at I look at Keyshawn Davis, right?
great
And I
fighter.
say, well, what would Keyshawn Davis do? Keyshawn Davis would have got him up out of there sooner. Sooner to me. He would have got him out of there sooner. Um, a bunch of guys, Raymond Mutataya, Loma would have stopped him sooner, I believe. And we all know Tank,
Oh,
off of 5 days notice and being that weak to the body, Lord have mercy. He
hmm
would have left on the stretcher, right? And everybody knows right now, Tank is my favorite current fighter. Him and Boots are up there. And maybe it's my bias, maybe it is. But I mean, yeah, you hurt your hand again. Um, like you said, extremely accurate. We've seen 3, 4 punch combinations to the face,
hmm
snapping his head back. But I can't help but to wonder, right? I can't help but to wonder if it wasn't 5 days notice, and let's say he would have got at least 8 weeks to prepare.
different story.
I think he would have at least made it. He would have got hands and feet put on him, but he would have at least made it all 12. I mean, I'm assuming here. Of course, I don't know how the fight's really gonna go, but we saw that Shakur was shaking his fist like he does when his hand is hurt. So if he would have got a full camp, it would have been unanimous decision. But I don't think he would have stopped him. And then all the Shakur haters would have, still came out of the woodwork anyway, like they're still doing right now, even though he did stop him.
Mhm.
So, shout out to Padley, man, because
Yeah,
real dog,
sorry.
real, yeah, you saw good. He showed heart, man. He showed heart, and he has the Shakur doubters back in full force. Um, because I mean, I think a lot of people think like me. What would these other top 135 founders have done to this guy on a 5 day notice? They would have, I believe that they would have got him up out of there. But let's get into the reason why Padley was even in there to begin with. Most of you may know, those who don't, it was actually Floyd Schofield who was supposed to be in the ring with Shakur, a fight that I was really, really looking forward to. Um, Floyd Schofield shows a lot of athleticism. He shows a lot of talent. He shows a lot of promise. Strong kid, angles, uh, levels, change of pace, um, great feet, um, extremely conditioned. And they talk a lot, but here's the thing, man. I'm so tired. I'm about tired of Floyd Schofield, bro. It's not really Floyd Schofield, it's really his fucking father, man. And I've said before that I'm all for dads being there for their kids, especially when it comes to a combat sport. Like, I'm always gonna, if my son decides to fight, I'm always gonna be in his corner. I'm never gonna miss nothing. Even with sparring, I'm always gonna be there. But there's a line when you have a build up to where you're telling people that Shakur sent people to your house to just come and get the passport. So they didn't want the jewelry, they didn't want the TVs and the PlayStation, they didn't want none of that. They just came in there to get your passports. That was a little sketchy. All right. And then you're talking about how they got you pulled over and called the cops and then planted cocaine on you. Like, what? Like, what are we doing here? What are we? And then you're saying that Shakur Stevenson's masseuse rubbed some
Yep.
cream and got your kids sick. Then you don't want to elaborate on what happened to Floyd. You're saying that he almost died, and you're getting checked by Shakur Stevenson's cousin in Saudi, talking about, yo, were you talking all crazy about my family, and my cousin Shakur talking about getting you lined up. And when he got pressed, he's talking about, yeah, oh, he's all apologetic and talking about how he deleted the post. It's just a lot of cap, bro. It's a lot of cap. And if I'm De La Hoya, because he is signed with Golden Boy, if I'm De La Hoya, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm sick of the bullshit. You wanted this fight. I told you not to take it. And when you get the fight, you're doing all this sideways circus stories that, you know what I mean? Like, you're talking about you're being poisoned and you got to smell your water, and they're planting drugs on you, and people broke in the crib and they popped your tires. And I mean, there's story after story after story after story. And it's like, why would Shakur need to do something like that against you? Granted, he's a talented kid, but you're still talking about Shakur Stevenson. Why, if Shakur Stevenson were to be doing that, that would be him saying that I'm scared of you. I don't think Shakur is scared of nobody. And to go through all these lengths of getting you poisoned to the point where you're on the edge of your life, I'm sick of the Schofields, man. I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah, and what's crazy is like Ford has been calling out Shakur for so long, and Shakur finally gave him the opportunity just for him to back out. You know what I mean? Like now it's like Shakur probably won't even want to fight him. Let's say God, hopefully, Ford is all right and he gets well and he comes back to fight. Now will Shakur even give him another chance? Because look at the stunt that he pulled. Like for Christ's sake, they posted that on his social media. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like in my opinion, personal stuff like that should not be put on social media. You know what I mean? Like let people know that hey, you're in the hospital, but don't post a whole picture. You know what I mean?
The whole video of him in the hospital was like, this is even more cap, bro. This is cap. Like, you're talking about, he was on a boxing voice earlier. Shout out to Ness, Floyd Schofield Sr. And like you don't want to say what happened, if they had to pump his stomach, if he had to take blood, if they had to do anything. Oh yeah, it can't be, why? Ain't nobody in litigation, ain't no lawyers involved, ain't no nothing. You can't even say what kind of treatment he got or what exactly it was. You made all these claims that it was the Shakur Stevenson's masseuse that did it, but then when we ask for clarification, when you're on camera and you're live, it's like, oh well, I can't get into that, but you can get into that when you're on your own social media. And this shit is crazy, bro. Then he had him change his mind, like when Ness asked him, "Yo, would you be willing to go overseas and fight?" Yada yada. Floyd Schofield Jr. was like, "Yeah, I'll fight," and then his dad was like, "No," and he looks at his dad like, "Nah, for real." Oh well, yeah. I guess we're not fighting overseas no more. Like, bro, you a grown ass man.
Hmm.
You got a child. You got a family to take care of. And your dad is still over here calling the shots, bro. You're the fighter. You're the one that gets in the ring. If you want to fight overseas for a title or for whatever it is, for a big bag that you can easily, make it easier to take care of your family, then you fucking do it. And you tell your dad to shut the fuck up.
Hmm.
You either in my corner or you not. And I'm tired of it, bro. I mean, every single post from Floyd Schofield, it's his dad, and his dad is like, I think he suffers from, and I'm going in right now, but I don't give a fuck. Let's tell the truth, man. You can tell, at least in my opinion, that his dad didn't make it to a place in his life, and he's trying to live through his son.
Yep.
And I think his son, who obviously loves his father, is letting him, but is seriously, seriously hurting his career. What happened, for the reason why Padley was in this fight, is it's criminal. It's criminal. And I would have him at the back of the line. I would be like, you gotta climb your way all the way to the top. And if, like you said, if I'm Shakur, why in the world would I even deal with you anymore? You don't even have a belt. I'm going after the guys with a belt. Period. I'll do it like he did. I'm calling out Tank. I want Tank next. Period.
Exactly. They try to, you know, the allegations were just funny because Shakur's always have been big on calling out the big names: Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, Pitbull Cruz, Tank. And we all know Tank is a knockout artist. Why would he? Why would he even? It makes no sense for him to send people to Floyd to mess up his opportunity of fighting when
Mhm,
all Shakur does is ask for the big name fights. You know what I mean?
mhm,
He doesn't shy away from any smoke, whether we
mhm.
think he has power or not. So I personally think that the fans don't even believe it. I've seen the post. I've read the comments. They don't even believe Floyd is really
No,
sick. But if he is,
no.
I hope he gets well. But it's just like, this is how you feed your family. Him fighting Shakur, it might have been his biggest payday. You know what I mean? Because
It definitely would have been. Definitely would have been
yeah,
his
it was
biggest
his
payday.
payday. So like, at what point, like, or when are you gonna start thinking about, hey, look, you have a family to take care of. You know what I'm saying? You got a kid, you got a girl back at home. Like, you got to pay the bills too. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So why mess up an opportunity like this, where we're especially going to be getting paid the highest that you ever been paid so far, and mess it up? Now you're messing up your own reputation, because now when it
Yep.
comes time to fight other big names
Mhm.
besides Shakur, they're gonna assume that you might pull another stunt to back out of the fight. You know what I
And
mean?
not only that, but now you're fucking up the relationship with the money with Turkey Al Sheik. Turkey Al Sheik was bigging up this card. You were one of the main people that he was promoting. Floyd Schofield, Shakur Stevenson, everybody was hype. And now the money, which is Turkey Al Sheik, is going to be a little hesitant to put you back. I mean, if I'm him, I'm hesitant to put him back on any of my cards. I don't know what you're going to do. And now you're saying that you don't want to come overseas. Who are you? You don't have a belt, bro. You don't have a belt. So, and now after all these shenanigans, tell me why I would go through anything to put you back on one of my cards when there's so many other fighters here that, even if they had swine flu or monkeypox or the plague, would have got in that ring
Yeah.
for life-changing money. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'm ready to move on. I'm done with the
Yeah.
Schofields, man. For
Yeah.
real, for real. Next fight on the card was Victor Ortiz and Israel Madrimov.
Yeah, that was
Great fight. Great fight. Um, Great showing from Ortiz. Holy hell. I think he went in there as an underdog and he really proved to a lot of people, especially after the Boachuk fight where he was knocked down twice. A lot of people say, including myself, that Ortiz lost that fight and was gifted a win. Um, because that was a DAZN card. I believe that was a Golden Boy card, and he was the main event. So I think he probably got a little home cooking. But he proved a lot of people wrong, man, because Madrimov ain't no joke. We seen him against Crawford,
yeah,
and he gave Crawford all he can handle. Crawford really had to dig deep in those championship rounds to beat him. I believe Crawford did win, but if you ask me, um, Ortiz, I think he showed not just, I mean, we already knew his boxing ability, especially being as young as he is, but we've seen that he has levels and he can dig deep and he can make adjustments during the fight because Madrimov had a lot of movement and we know that he can move like that for 12. He can move like that for 16 rounds if he really has to.
mhm,
But shout out to Ortiz for cutting off the ring, going to the body and still having power later on in the 10th and 11th and the 12th rounds. I think he clearly won that fight. And if you ask me, I think he did a better job than Crawford. You call me a hater all you want. I love Crawford. I think he's the best thing since sliced bread. I think he's the best thing since Floyd. But if you go and look at the fight between Crawford and Madrimov, and then you look at the fight between Madrimov and Ortiz, I believe Ortiz did a better job than Crawford did.
right. Didn't Machimov have a good amateur background as well?
Oh, extensive amateur background. Yeah, that's why he doesn't have that many fights, like pro fights.
Right, right, right. And he was landing a lot on Crawford when he fought Crawford.
Hmm.
That was, in my opinion, that was a close fight. If it
Hmm.
was up to me, I would give that fight a draw. And then what they fought at what 154 was it? If I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah,
Yeah,
154.
I remember that fight. Yeah, it was a close fight to be honest.
Hmm. Hmm.
Machimov did very well. He was moving. He was on his toes. He was elusive. He
Hmm.
made it very difficult. He caught Crawford with the left hand plenty of times.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So and now looking at the fight now with Victor with Virgil Ortiz, well, yeah, I agree. Now I think about it, Virgil Ortiz did way better. Virgil Ortiz landed more clean, like you said, he still had power towards the end, towards the later rounds.
Hmm.
Um, but I knew Virgil Ortiz would have power because based off his prior fights, he fights with everything he's got. On
Hmm.
top of that he can box.
Hmm.
He may not be slick, but he has good defense and he has heart besides
Hmm.
power. So it was definitely a good fight. It wasn't easy for Ortiz because you know what I mean, but it was definitely it was definitely a good fight. A little close, but I wouldn't be mad if you say Ortiz won also.
Yeah, I think Ortiz clearly won.
Yeah.
Um, I believe. I mean, my impression of the Crawford fight, I think that Crawford clearly won. But I think, in my opinion, that Ortiz got maybe one more round than Crawford did. This one was a little bit more convincing than Crawford. And then if you look at it, right, the talent that Crawford is, that we all know he is, because Crawford has a shit ton of power. But Ortiz had all knockouts up until the Boachuk fight, and he knocked everybody out
Mhm.
until so he has generational power.
Power.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So and then for him to go in there against Madrimov, now he didn't stop Madrimov, but to show the level that he's at to go up against a common opponent in Terrence Crawford and arguably do better than Crawford. I mean, damn, Ortiz is a dog, man. And I love the way he fights. He's just mean, man. It's like every single punch, even the jab is like
Yeah.
he has bad intentions behind every
Uh,
single punch all the way through 12 rounds. I mean, when he was given the post fight interview, it's like, damn, it's like he's not even tired. He's not. I'm ready to go another 2-3 rounds if you need me to. You know what I mean? So shout out to Ortiz, man. He's a star for real, for real. He don't duck no smoke. He said that he's willing to fight anybody. Um, Line him up, man. I mean, if I hope next time the fight is offered that Boots actually takes it. Him and Boots will be an amazing fight. I think Boots wins.
Yeah, me too.
Um, but that's a fight that man, if they make that, that's a mega fight. I have to see it. I have to see it. Hopefully it's in Philly. Probably won't be, but
Yeah.
if it is, then I have to be in the building, man. I gotta see it. I gotta see it. But again, for future reference, if you want a fight breakdown, Virgil Ortiz has a fight style that's just tailor made for Boots. We all know styles make fights, and the way that Virgil fights, it's made for Boots' style. He's just gonna pick it apart. There's really
Yeah.
nothing that he can do. So if you want to walk forward, Boots is gonna. He's too strong. He's too big. He's too talented. He's too smart. Ring IQ is too good.
Mhm.
Too athletic. I think Virgil will hang on, and he's a tough kid. He'll bite down,
Right.
but you know, but that's for future reference. But you got anything else on the fight? You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, we could definitely move on.
All right, champ. Ah, this was probably the most controversial fight. I mean, not probably, it definitely was. Carlos Adames and Hamza Shiraz. Um, Hamza Shiraz, many people may not know, is a ambassador to Riyadh season. So, that's Turkey's guy. He has stock in Hamza. We've seen that during the fight, but I'll give the fight analysis first. Another good fight. Man, shout out to Carlos Adames. He fought like that was gonna be his last fight. He hasn't looked that good in a while. He struggled against J Rock. Um, Damn, who did he fight after J Rock? Oh man, I can't remember who he fought after J Rock, but um, I want to say it was Terrell Gachet. I don't know, but either way, his last two fights weren't. They were lackluster to say the least. Man, he came in here ready to go,
Yeah.
ready to go. I mean, he had Canelo like head movement, like the jab from Shiraz could not find a home because Carlos Adames's head was just it was never in the same spot. The way that he switched angles, the way that he switched levels with his head, the way that he slipped those jabs was master. I mean, it was like you were looking at a dark skinned Canelo. I'm not kidding. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm just being real. I'm just being real. Shout out to Del Mio, the Dominican, and Carlos Adames, because he really showed up against a guy who had a lot of hype. Hamza Shiraz had a lot of hype. Um, went in there and beat up Lorenzo Truck Simpson. Um, I believe he knocked him out. So the hype got even higher. And man, Carlos Adames went in there and said, "Man, bump all that. I'm about to put hands on this boy." I had it 8-4. Um, and as we all know, the fight came out to be a draw, which is a highway robbery.
Yeah.
Um, I got a video to show you guys, but I'm gonna get Ease's take on the fight before I do that.
Yeah, it was definitely a good fight. Um, Shiraz, he put on a great fight. Um, Hamas, he did very well. He had all the energy. He had great head movement. Um, but it's like you said, it's controversial because there was rounds where Shiraz did well and he landed a good amount of shots. You know what I'm saying, and then vice versa. So it definitely is controversial, and it definitely is close. I think it could it
Nah, champ, that was not a close fight. That
yeah.
was not nah. That was, I mean, to me, and apparently, like when I go to the comment sections, man, robbery. I don't know how. Like, you gotta fire these judges. Like, they gotta be there has to be some kind of consequence
Yeah.
for giving. I mean, with the one card had Shiraz winning. I'm
Mhm.
like, how the hell? But then another card had the same the same result that I had, which was 8-4. And
Right.
so it's like, how does one judge have a lopsided card like that? The next judge has Shiraz winning by a round, and then another judge has a draw. And then, especially on the heels of something like this, where we see Turkey Al Sheikh kind of stepping outside his lane for a second.
Turkey Al Sheikh has become the most powerful man in boxing. Now, he's not just setting up fights, he's cornering them. The sports chief fight maker presided over what, talent-wise?
So he goes to Hamza Shiraz's corner, says after he gets the judge's score, goes to Hamza's side. Again, Hamza is a Riyadh season ambassador. Had a lot of fans in the crowd. They cheered Hamza. They booed Carlos Adames. And Turkey Al Sheikh, in a fight that does not have open scoring, found out what the judges are thinking, went to Hamza's corner, told him that he was down to pick it up, that you got to give him, you got to go get him, give him fist bumps, and did nothing on Adames' side. Told Adames nothing. And this is a guy that's not a promoter. I mean, I've seen a lot of comments that were saying that well, Tank did it. Floyd did it when Tank had that fight, told him that he was down, but that's different because Floyd is a promoter and Tank is his fighter. They say that Eddie Hearn does it all the time. Yeah, Eddie Hearn does it because he's a promoter and he does it for his matchroom fighters. If he has that kind of, and he obviously uh uh Eddie Hearn has stock in his fighters. De La Hoya has stock in his fighters. Floyd has stock in his fighters, right? Turkey Al Sheikh is just supposed to be the money. You're the one putting on the events. You're the one that pays the fight that pays the fighters. Every single fighter on the card comes out of your pocketbook. You own the ring. So, and then you have a fighter who is an ambassador to Riyadh season, and you're seeing helping him, lighting a fire under him, saying like, "Hey, listen, pick it up. You know, you're down 2 rounds. Let's go." And you don't tell the other corner something that shows clear bias, and to me, that's a really, really, really bad look.
So,
For yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So, do you, in your opinion, do you think if he was a promoter and he was Hamas's promoter and signed and he did sign it, do you think that would have made any difference, or do you think that still would have been controversial for him?
No, because then he's a promoter and he does what promoters do. You know what I'm saying?
So I
He
guess
doesn't promote. Yeah. So, but you being a guy that's putting on the show, you're the guy that paid. Like, he bought the judges have to get paid. Who
yeah,
paid them?
he did.
Turkey Al Sheikh paid them. You
Yep,
know what I'm
yep.
saying? So that's a really, really bad. That's a really, really bad look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it shows favoritism, and um fighters are now, if I was a fighter, I'm kind of reluctant to go and fight for Riyadh season, because if I'm not Turkey Al Sheikh's guy and Turkey wants me to go up against his guy, I have to knock him the fuck out, or they're gonna rob me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I get it. I get it because if you're the one that if you own everything, you're paying the fighters, you're paying the judges, you should just sit back and enjoy the fight and let whatever happens happens.
Hmm.
And you're not a trainer, you're not a promoter. You know what I mean? Because like me on the other hand, because I like boxing. If I was a billionaire, I would just even if I didn't even if I knew them,
Hmm.
I would just I'm a fan, so I would just be like a kid in the candy store as a fan and watching, just excited to see what's going to happen. Would I have a favorite? Of course, we all have favorites, but I'm not going to be in a corner, shouting X, Y, and Z because for one, I'm not a trainer. What
Mhm.
he has a trainer. He has a trainer for that. So let his trainer do his job. So you obviously not believing in your fighter and or the trainer. You know what I mean? So yeah, Turkey should have just sat back, relax, enjoy the show, and whatever happens, happens. A loss isn't the end of his career if he were to lose. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
especially if you're a Turkey, if you're one of Turkey's guys,
Right.
he's gonna set you up. He's gonna help build you up if you want to
Correct.
continue fighting. So
Correct.
it's like, yeah, so he should have just stayed out of it, in my opinion. Don't even get involved. I mean, that was a real bad look. Hopefully, he sends out an apology to Carlos Adames. Hopefully, he gets him on another card. I don't think he deserves a rematch with Hamza. I think he did his thing against Hamza. He clearly beat him. I think if anything, Turkey should work on getting him a title fight. My opinion.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but another good fight though. Another good fight. Shout out to Carlos Adames. He put on a great performance. Next fight was Joseph Parker and Martin Bracoli. Joseph Parker was supposed to be going up against Daniel Dubois, who also got sick. I actually believe him, unlike the Schofield. Um, but Martin Bracoli, the new boogeyman of the heavyweight division. Um, man, what did he get? Like what? 3 day notice? I think his plane showed up the day of, like early in the morning. He was in there at like 310 pounds, uh, out of shape. He was not in camp, even though he does have a fight lined up against F.A. Ajagba. But he took the fight. They gave him a nice little piece of change. Here, and it's like 700,000 or whatever it was, to get on there. But Joseph Parker, man, Joseph Parker is a damn
Yeah.
dog. I mean, he's a lot better than I thought. Way better than I thought. Granted, Martin Bracoli, uh, you know, he's coming off a short notice. He's out of shape, clearly. But still, to get in there with that guy and him punching with the so-called today's day foreman.
Hmm.
I think I agree with the comparison. I do see a lot of foreman in him.
And
Um,
Bacoli, right?
yeah, and Bracoli.
Yeah, with the way he
Yeah,
moves, yeah.
yeah, he doesn't really move. He just kind of stays like stationary and he just like
Exactly.
turns, like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
he has pinpoint accuracy and every punch could take you out. And Joseph Parker just went in there. He did his thing, got an early stoppage in the second round with a shot to the top of the dome,
Hmm.
tore his equilibrium up. He had no legs, and even Martin Bracoli didn't get up and challenge it. Maybe that's because he got a huge bag for 2 rounds of work. I'd be happy too. Um, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, what's your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, well, I give credit to both fighters for getting in there, especially Bacoli for stepping in at the last minute. You know what I mean? Even if you know that you're fighting a last minute fight, I think that Bacoli should have approached the fight a little differently because knowing Joseph Parker's resume, knowing that Joseph Parker can actually box, and he's not a little guy, he does have some power behind him. For Christ's sake, it's heavyweight. So it looked like Bacoli was felt like he couldn't get hurt. He thought that he could walk him down and just be able to Deontay Wilder him and just rely on the power and just get him out of there. And that wasn't the case. Joseph Parker, showed that he could box. He showed skill, and he Joseph Parker knew not to stand toe to toe in front of him because he knows
Mhm,
only has power. You know
mhm.
what I mean? So Joseph Parker just had a better game plan, and but Bacoli would definitely be back. But yeah, if Bacoli would just move a little bit more and just have like a better game plan, I think he could have at least went further than what he did. So
Yeah, well, yeah, if he had a camp, I think he definitely would have did better.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but at the end of the day, uh, he only had a certain time to prepare for Joseph Parker. On the same on Joseph Parker's side, Joseph Parker only had a little bit of time to prepare for Martin Bracoli, out of shape or not. Um, I give him credit.
Yeah,
I do think it'll be a different fight if he had a camp, but I think that even if he had a camp, um, I don't think maybe he doesn't get the knockout, but I do believe that Joseph Parker beats him.
I believe so
Um,
too. Yep.
yeah, yeah, and Broccoli's going to be Broccoli. He has a fight with Fa Ajagba, which I believe he does stop Ajagba. Um, Ajagba's a great fighter himself, but yeah, man, Martin Broccoli will be back. But Joseph Parker is a one. He needs a title shot. I really hope that they get him in there with Dubois.
Yeah.
Um, and he has a chance to get that belt, which I think he will get that belt. And then another mega fight with Usyk and Parker.
Yeah.
Two small heavyweights too. The heavyweight division is really
Yeah.
changing because you used to see these 6'4", 6'5" guys, get in there and bang it out. You don't see a lot of Tyson sized guys nowadays in the heavyweight division, but man, Joseph Parker is a great boxer, athletic, knows how to move, high ring IQ, and getting in there with Usyk. I mean, that's a fight that right now I can't even call it. I don't know who wins, and Usyk is the man. I mean,
Yeah.
he beat Fury twice. I mean, he had a controversial win against Dubois, but he beat the brakes off of Anthony Joshua. Um, but yeah, that fight would be amazing because Anthony Joshua too. I think Anthony Joshua loses to Joseph Parker. I'm really high on Joseph Parker right now. Real high on Joseph Parker.
I, I would have to agree just because Anthony Anthony Joshua, he's too stationary. He sit up and down, no special effects. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the best footwork. He's not he can fight for sure, but Joseph Parker just has better footwork and just has a better jab, and Joseph Parker moves way better than AJ. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so,
Joseph Parker gives Anthony Joshua the same fits that Usyk gives him.
yeah,
Same fits.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because I look at Joseph Parker as a heavier Usyk. If Usyk was heavier, he would fight like Joseph Parker, maybe slightly better. You
Hmm.
know. So, but yeah, AJ's a good fighter. You know what I mean. But when it comes to guys like Joseph Parker who moves well and can box and has a great jab, it would be
Hmm.
a challenging fight for him. But yeah, I don't see AJ winning that either.
Yeah, and then we have the main event. This card was stacked. I mean, I was on the couch literally all day, like a fat slob, but I don't care. I enjoyed every single fight, especially the main event. Bivol Bivol is leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of, like, he's clearly, to me, clearly the best 175. Um, I think that they're going to have a rubber match. Uh, Obviously, it's better beef one, Bivol one. So you got to even that. I mean, not even it out, but we got to see who's going to come out in the third fight. I guess you do, but if you ask me, I think that Bivol it's just not really levels. I don't want to say levels, but he's just clearly better than Better Beef. I think that he knows the recipe to beat him. And to me, I don't even think that we need a third fight because I believe that I know exactly how it's going to happen. I think that Bivol's going to beat him worse than he did
Yeah,
the second time. Um, just the way that he would just refuse to give up the center of the ring.
yeah,
I think it was after the fourth round when he was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just bring it to him. And Better Beef really just didn't have an answer. He didn't have an answer.
yeah,
So the third fight's on the way, but if you ask me, I don't need to see a third fight. He should just go and fight Canelo or fight Benavidez or however things pan out. But we're gonna get the third fight, and it is what it is. I just think that Bivol figured him out, and we're gonna watch something that we know it's like a movie where you can just tell how the movie's gonna end. We
Exactly.
already see it.
Because better beef, he's gonna fight the same exact way. We know how he's gonna come. You know
Mm,
what I mean? He's gonna throw punches for sure, and he's gonna have power in those punches. But Bivol um, is smarter. He has more of a ring IQ
mm,
than better be. You know what I'm saying? And the third fight is just gonna be Floyd versus Maidana Part Two, where
mm,
Maidana barely landed a punch on Floyd. You know what I
mm.
mean? So I look at the third fight just like my dad in Florida Part Two, whereas this time the ball's not going to get touched as much as he did. In my
Yeah, I
opinion.
think it'll be like if we're doing fight comparisons, I think it'll be like Fury and Wilder in the second fight and the
Oh,
third fight, you
for
know, because you have the power puncher and Better Beef who knocked everybody out until he went up against Bivol. This is the first time. That's the first time he didn't stop somebody. So and history shows that when a boxer has figured out the puncher,
mm-hmm.
that's it. We'll look at Duran and Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray wanted to go in there and bang with the puncher. He wanted to fight his fight, but then we have the second fight in the infamous No Mas.
No mas.
He went back to boxing, doing what you do. Don't fight his fight, fight your fight, and
Exactly.
you're a boxer. So when he went back to boxing, he beat the brakes off of Duran, and Fury beat the brakes off of Fury. And I think that in the third fight, Bivol's gonna beat the brakes off of Better Beef,
I agree.
but it is what it is. I understand fair is fair. I think that Better Beef deserves that third fight. He's been holding it down at 175 for a long time, so give him a shot. Maybe he proves me wrong. Maybe he does have a different gear that he can hit during a fight. Maybe, but if I'm gonna put my money on it, I say Bivol by unanimous decision. All three judges give it to Bivol.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, but that was the fight card again. Amazing fight card. Um, this Saturday we have Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach.
Yes.
Ryo's on there versus Antoine. Um, it's kind of like, damn, like that's a fight right after the last Crescendo, and then we're going into to a tank fight with a card that PBC puts on good cards, but the last PBC fight with Benavidez and Morel, that was a great card, but after going right after last Crescendo is nasty work, man, nasty work. But I'm looking forward to it. Tank's my favorite fighter. I got Tank by stoppage. I'll do a previews and prediction show for you guys. Bring that to you. Let's see. I'll probably do that Friday, the day before the fight. You want to give some predictions on next week's fight?
Yeah. So the Tank fight and Lamar Roach, I think that's gonna be Tank's most challenging fight.
What?
Yeah, because Lamar Roach can fight. You know what I mean? And Lamar Roach has a great amateur background. I'm not saying he's gonna win. I just think it'll be more challenging compared to Ryan, compared to compared to
Hector Luis. Um,
Hector Luis because Lamont is a boxer. He has
mm.
good footwork.
So you think he'll give him more problems than Frank Martin?
Oh, for sure.
Mm,
Way more power than Frank Martin. See, with the Frank Javante Davis against Frank Martin, Tank was seeing what Frank Martin had. You know what
mm,
I mean? Remember, Frank Martin got into the boxing game late, like at 16 or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Frank Martin doesn't have an amateur background, really. Or if he does,
Not
not.
extensive. Yeah, it ain't extensive.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
like, so with the Frank Martin fight, Tankers wanted to see what he got, see what he can do, and see how good he really was. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? Whereas Lamont Rhodes, he fought Lamont in the amateur like twice, and I think he and beat him twice. You know what I'm saying? Lamont Rhodes has a great amateur background, and although Lamont Rhodes hasn't fought any big names, as a professional,
mm,
he still showed skill.
Well,
You know.
he beat Hector for the belt. That's
Oh
why
yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. He did beat Hector for the belt. Yes, I did see that fight. Yes, and Hector was the one that lost to Tank. I remember. Yes, yes. So I mean, but yeah, that fight he did very well. You
mm,
know, and he showed heart. But do I think he's going to beat Tank? No, I just think it'll just be a little bit more
mm,
of a challenge. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Besides because of the fact that there's history between them. You know, I
yeah.
think I think if I were to compare, I think um, Lamont Roach is going to do well in the beginning, like
A
what's
lot
that?
of guys do good in the beginning against Tank. Like Rolly did well. Um, Leo Santa Cruz did well,
What's the Puerto Rican
and
fight he fought? Crawford also fought him. Also, what the hell's his name? Tank fought him.
Pedraza. Talking about Pedraza
No, not Pedraza. Before that, because Crawford beat
before
him
Pedraza.
because he fought. Pedraza was good. Pedraza was actually he was set to lose that fight against Pedraza, and Pedraza,
Mm.
was taking a lot of his punches. But
Yeah,
I just
Tank went in there as an underdog. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I just think that Lamont is going to give him a little bit of a challenge, but he's going to come up short in the later rounds.
come
That's,
up short as in he's getting stopped, or you think it's going to decision?
I think he's going to get stopped because there's too much tension in that fight, and Tank knows that he has to stop him. You know what I mean? Because if he doesn't, there's a good chance that he's gonna lose the fight only because he's a slow fighter. Because of that,
Mm,
I think Tank is gonna up his ring IQ. I think Tank is really gonna show us, hey, look, I can really box. I'm not just a power puncher. Because Tank even said that he's not sleeping on Lamont Roach, and Tank can actually box for real.
mm,
So I think Lamont Roach is gonna bring that side of Tank out where Tank's gonna have to use his boxing. He's gonna
mm.
it.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with it. Yeah, so you think that because I agree, we haven't really got to see. We hear about it a lot. We hear
Yeah,
about that Tank can really box. Like it's just that his God-given power,
right.
he hasn't needed to reach in his boxing bag. But you're saying that Lamont Roach is gonna force him to go
Yes,
in his boxing bag.
correct.
Mm,
Just
okay.
because they have history. Remember, when Tank beat him, Tank won gold, and Lamont Roach won the silver. He got second place. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen Lamont Roach's his fighting highlights. He can box, and he's going to force Tank to box, and that's
Mm,
when we're really going to see uh, Tank's boxing side. I seen a couple sparring matches from Tank that's on YouTube. I know you don't
mhm,
compare sparring matches with real fight, but in Tank sparring matches, you can see he pivots. Tank
mm,
pivots really well.
mm,
That's one thing I noticed. Besides power, he does have good feet. He doesn't
yeah,
trip on his feet. He pivots
yeah.
really well. So I see him, getting in his boxing bag against the Roach.
Man, Tank does everything at an elite level.
Yeah,
And then when you add his elite power to it, he's no match for. Yeah, well, Roach is no match for Tank. I think Tank gets him out of there inside of 7,
of course.
especially Lamont coming up from 130 to 135. I think it's just
Yeah,
too much. I mean,
yeah,
we see like if you want to talk sparring, like man, like Tank be sparring super middleweights, like 168 guys, and he's stopping guys with headgear on. So what is he gonna do to a guy that's coming up from 130, even though he is a champion? I'm not trying to take nothing away from Lamont. I'm just giving a whole lot of credit to Tank and his boxing ability.
8 ounce gloves.
Um, yeah, yeah, no headgear, 8-ounce gloves, and the power of Tank.
Yeah,
Lamont, I don't see. I think that Frank, to me, put, you know, is gonna end up being the better fight. I just don't see Lamont, standing up there like that. I just can't see it. I can't see it, especially with it. He has a loss to fucking Jamel Herring. Like,
oh yeah, yeah,
hell no. Hell no. No, you know what I mean? It ain't happening, That's just my opinion, but we'll dig deeper into that on Friday, guys. But this is Tell the Truth Boxing. I am your host, the Valley Savage, joined by Ease. Thanks again for coming,
Thank you for
and
having me.
we'll catch y'all on the next one, man. E, stick around so I know that your audio and video loaded up after we end the stream, champ.
Okay.